Hey, this is Ryan from Rocket SaaS, and you're listening to the SaaS Marketing Weekly podcast, the show that gives you actionable marketing strategies and campaign ideas to rocket your SaaS business. And if you want even more SaaS marketing ideas, go to saasmarketingweekly.com to join my free newsletter. Hello and welcome back to another episode of SaaS Marketing Weekly with me, your host Ryan, the founder of Rocket SaaS. And today we're going to be talking about how to get your prospects to understand your SaaS business in just a few words. Because I see it time and time again when I go onto SaaS websites or look at SaaS LinkedIn ads or organic content, brochures, anything in sales and marketing. It often takes me far too long to understand what this business is, what does it do, how does it benefit me? And it just takes ages for the penny to drop, for me to think, yeah, I get it, I know what it does. I want to book a call with these guys. Often what I find is that the penny doesn't actually drop until I get on a call with the salesperson or the founder and they explain it to me in their own words. I'm like, now I get it. And that is really, really common. And that is awful. Because if your prospects are not understanding what you do, how you benefit them, why they should book a call with you, then they're just not going to book a call with you. They're just going to bounce off your website and forget about you very, very quickly. So it's critical that you get people to understand your business, how you benefit them in just a few words. And I've read a really awesome book recently that teaches you exactly how to do that. So I want to share those learnings with you today in this podcast. Now, the book is called Obviously Awesome by April Dunford. Shout out to Rob at 44 who introduced me to this book. And she's got a framework in this book which teaches you how to improve your SaaS messaging. Now, I'm not going to cover everything in this podcast. I'm actually just going to cover one particular thing that stood out to me, which is called frame of reference. And I've started implementing that into a lot of my clients' marketing messaging, and it's having a really positive impact. So let me try and explain. So frame of reference is taking your product and referencing it to something else that your audience is already familiar with, and then explaining how yours is slightly different. So to give you an example, let's say that we lived in a universe where the bus never existed, and I had to try to explain to you what a bus is. I might say, it's made out of metal, it's got four wheels, it's got a driver, lots of people can get on it, and there's seats and there's windows and it drives you places. It would take me quite a long time to kind of get through that, and then you probably have this picture in your head that was probably nothing like a bus, and then you're confused. Alternately, I could say, it's like a car, but bigger. So my first rambling sentence of like 50, 60 words didn't really get close to where I wanted you to get to. But my second sentence was 6 words long. And you would have immediately got a really strong picture of what I was trying to reference. There's a lot of SaaS companies, pretty much most SaaS companies that I see, try to go down that first route of trying to be clever, having these long paragraphs where you try and describe every single feature in one paragraph, or trying to be clever with these buzzwords. And you just end up with something that's vague and broad, and it just doesn't really make much sense. And when you over-explain, it leads to information overload, disengagement, and that just results in people bouncing, and your lead gen, your sales, your marketing just goes to pot. But using the frame of reference technique, you can keep your messaging short, to the point, and your audience immediately connects what you're saying to something that they already clearly understand. And you just have to add a little flavor on top to explain your product. So let me give you some examples in the SaaS world. So let's say if you created a CRM system for small legal firms. Instead of saying something like a CRM for legal firms that streamlines sales, collects data, and tracks touch points, you could say it's like Salesforce, but made simple for small legal teams. So by referencing Salesforce that most people are aware of, and a lot of people have the pain point of Salesforce is very complex and overkill for my business. A lot of people might be using Salesforce if they're in your ICP. With my second example, those first 3 words saying it's like Salesforce, immediately they've got that frame of reference, they know what you're talking about, and then you finish the sentence by saying why it's different. And that would just enable the penny to drop immediately, as opposed to using words like streamline sales, collects data, tracks touch points. In their brain, they go, okay, it does this, does that. Okay, let me try and figure this out. So yeah, frame of reference is brilliant. Let me give you some other examples now. Let's say you had a learning management system. So instead of saying it's a video platform that offers training and educational content for employees, you could say it's like Netflix, but for corporate learning. So in 7 words, I've able to describe it so you get it very clearly. I've not even had to mention the word video because I said it's like Netflix. Everyone knows what Netflix is like. So that frame of referencing has done the hard work for me. Let me give you one more example. Let's say you created some kind of AI content creation tool. You could say it's an AI-driven content creation tool for marketing teams. And that's kind of vague. Instead, you could say something like Imagine Canva, but for content creation. AI generated, ready to publish in minutes. So you're not trying to dumb down your product. You're just trying to provide quick context that makes it click immediately, really makes that penny drop. And it's very powerful when you're speaking to someone or you've got a prospect that already know and like that tool that you're referencing. And frame of referencing is particularly powerful for SaaS businesses because so many SaaS businesses are quite innovative. You're trying to sell a product that no one has ever used before, or it's different to anything else on the market. So it's very hard to explain that to somebody. When you're in another industry, like you're trying to explain a cool t-shirt to someone, everyone knows what a t-shirt is. This is my t-shirt. It's lighter, it's more breathable, it's got cooler designs. Everyone gets it simply. But when you're trying to describe SaaS, it's hard because it's often unique and it's technical. And there's so many features you want to get across in just a few words. So frame of referencing really, really helps all this. I'll give you a real life example of one of my clients called 44. They got this really awesome tool that analyzes your customer feedback and your prospect sales calls and it identifies trends and insights for you to improve your sales process or improve your product. And we've really been struggling to describe it because there's nothing else like it on the market and people have never used anything like it before. And it's very, very hard to do that. And then we introduce frame of reference. So there's one particular feature that 44's got. It's the leading feature, which is called Ask the Analyst. And we tried to write messaging for it and we were going around in circles and it was getting more and more complicated the more words that we added. And then we started using frame of reference. So now we describe it by saying, it's like ChatGPT, ask it anything, but it only analyzes your customer calls, providing insights you can verify with actual call recordings. So suddenly everything clicked. And we started using that messaging on the website, on the ads, on the social organic. It's one of the leading lines in the sales pitches. It's in the sales documentation. And people are just starting to instantly get it much, much quicker, as opposed to people who are jumping on calls going, can you explain this to me? I'm still not quite getting it. So yeah, love frame of reference. So in order to create your frame of reference, all you have to do, sit down with the team, write a list of products that are similar to yours. And I don't necessarily mean competitors. A frame of reference is ideally not going to be a direct competitor, but a similar product in a similar ballpark or does processes similar to how you do it. Ideally something that most people are aware of, like a household name. And then you write down, how is your version different? What do you do differently? Maybe it's for a specific industry. Maybe it automates things differently because it uses AI. Or maybe it's an all-in-one platform, as opposed to the thing that you're referencing that only does one specific thing. And you can also bring two things together. You can say it's like this and also that. It merges them together. So don't just limit yourself to one. So as with any messaging that I recommend, you should first push it by the internal team. Make sure you get agreement on what everyone thinks is the top 2 or 3 ways to explain it. And then to quickly test it, put it into Facebook ads. So if you've got 3 different versions, create a Facebook ad for each one, put a small budget to your target audience and see which one gets the most clicks. That is the quickest way to understand which of your messaging options is resonating most with your audience. If you want to dive deeper into that meta ad strategy, you can check out episode 15 of this podcast where I explain exactly how to do that in a bit more detail. But back to frame of referencing, give it a go, keep it short, clear, and simple. And remember, the goal is clarity. Make it as easy as possible for people to reference your product and understand why yours is different. So that is a wrap. If you want more information on all of that, check out April Dunford's book, Obviously Awesome. It's a fantastic read. It's pretty short as well. You can get through it pretty quick. And if you'd like more SaaS marketing tips like this, go to saasmarketingweekly.com. Sign up to the newsletter because I give tips exactly like this in written format. And I'm often sharing invitations to webinars that I'm doing and sharing guides, all to help you scale your SaaS business, get more leads. But I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and I look forward to seeing you next week.